Good day all. It is 2:32 on what they tell us is the 27th of May 2025. This is the Self-Preservation Society, or Truth and Awareness on YouTube. I'm Bazzzilll, broadcasting Truth and Therapy, BBTT. Here I am using the talking stick. And boy am I going to give you a truth today. And it's going to offend so many fucking people. And like always, I couldn't give a flying fuck. Because if the cap fits, wear it. I've just seen, not for the first time, but this time I felt I had to speak out about it. One of the most sickening and perverse sights. And it's not just held to what I'm going to explain to you. And I'll explain why as we go on. But for those of you that know me, you will know that in 1989, whilst I was running a Christian spiritualist church in Dover in the UK, 1 week as it was a suitcase church, we rented the room, the building for one night, and so I used to have to take everything down. And one night I was setting up the altar at the far end of the church, the opposite end from the doors. I was all suited and booted. I was dressed up for it, looked presentable and whatever. I turned round to see this patriarchal figure opening the doors, and in behind him come, 14, 16 different people. That man's name was Albert Engli, known as Bert, and to those that really respected him, he was known as Grandfather. He come in and turned out to be one of the most important figures on my journey, which started 5 years earlier in 1984, 17th of July 1984, when my maternal grandfather passed away. That got me asking questions. It didn't. Didn't get me asking questions. Well, it did and it didn't. But I was grieving for months. Eventually, my auntie took me to see a medium. Christine Quenker was her name. She was a landlady at my local pub. I didn't know what a fucking medium was at that point. She turned out to be by far the best medium I've ever seen in my life, with her evidence, this, that and the other. And some have matched her and nobody has ever surpassed her. Through her, I eventually ended up in the Spiritualist church, and I thought Spiritualism would provide me with all the answers to all the questions I would ever have. I was wrong. Those first 5 years, 84 to 89, that was a religious conversion, if you were. I was religious. Didn't know it at the time, but I can looking back. And I can say that because when I met Bert, grandfather, and got to know him, this, that and the other, he taught me, showed me what spirituality was. And it bore little or no relation to the religion that I was practicing at the time, Spiritualism. Religion comes from a Latin word, relegare, which means to tie, to bond, or to thwart, stop forward progress. Since Bert passed in 92, I've been on this path of conscious awakening. I didn't know it at the time. And I know, because I feel, that man still walks with me, guiding me and whatever, to a greater expression and understanding of the self, the true self, beyond the spirit, to the I am. one of the things he taught me was about Native American spirituality. In fact, that's the main thing he taught me, especially with regards to the Lakota. Excuse me. He taught me how they lived. And they were by no means perfect, because they not only sometimes fought with each other. There were 7 bands of the Lakota, and from those 7 bands you have some sub-bands, tribes, this, that, and the other. So there was, nothing was perfect, but what was perfect was once a year they would come together in August and powwow, to talk, to share, to dance, to pray, to honour those that have gone before, and to answer the needs of those that were in need. Beautiful culture, and there was no money involved. It was pure socialism. Pure socialism. And pure socialism doesn't involve money. Doesn't involve a false currency. It involves the currency of the self, the energy, frequency and vibration of the self. That's been monetarised, and so it gets abused when we use money. You've got to learn the difference between pure socialism, like people practiced without money, and socialism as you see it today, you're taught it is today, where money is included. But anyway, I digress. But he taught me the story about how from 1492, post-Columbus, these people that lived from the south of America all the way up the north, through what we now call America, Canada, and beyond, the Inuit included, you know them as Eskimos, how they were chased off their lands by white European invaders, and how they went into white schools to forget their culture as children, have their hair cut off, this, that and the other. 100 million of them, it is estimated, were killed. That for me is the greatest Holocaust of all time. 60 million of their buffalo were killed over a 20-year period. You get a calculator out and work that out. Just that one thing. 60 million over 20 years. And see how many were killed today. But anyway, he taught me all these things, and how these great figures of the past, Curly, Crazy Horse, Sitting Bull, Yellowknife, Chief Joseph, so many of them fought for their people. Chief Joseph is, for want of an expression, my hero. If you've never read the book From Where the Sun Now Stands, I urge you to go and read it. Just thinking about it has me emotional. When I read it, I sobbed like a baby. 1989, 1990, 91, 92. Bert gave me the book to read. I sobbed like a baby. And he lent me such books as Black Elk, The Sacred Pipe. And after Bert passed, I read The Sixth Grandfather, which is an interpretation on the Sacred Pipe. For those of you that have never done it, I urge you to do so. But anyway, taught me how these people had lost so much and fought in the way that they did. Fought in the way that they did for their people. The land in which their ancestors had walked on, and the land which they protected, sought to protect for the next 7 generations to come. Won't be the first time you hear me use that phrase. But it was all lost. All lost. They were assimilated into Western ideology and Western culture. And they were assimilated. And why I bring this up is I've just seen something today, powwow reel from the States, come across my feed, and there are people, Native American people, in the regalia of their ancestors' oppressors, be taking centre stage at a powwow, sometimes carrying the flag, and what they're doing is dancing to honour their ancestors in the regalia of their ancestors' victors, oppressors. That is the most sickening and perverse sight for me, ladies and gentlemen. It's like the Scottish fighting in the British Army. William Wallace must be turning in his grave. It's like the Irish fighting for Britain. Michael Collins must be turning in his grave. I bring that point up. I bring it up that way in the hope that you may see with some clarity what I'm talking about. How we all get assimilated eventually. Don't care who you are. We all get assimilated. We've had regiments in the British Army that feature people from lands we've conquered. Not just Scotland, Ireland and Wales, but India and beyond. We all get assimilated in the end. And for me, one of the sickest things is seeing somebody holding up the flag of their oppressors. Thomas Sheridan. I'll never tire of giving you this quote. Never tire of it. I don't care who you are. English, Scottish, Welsh, Irish, Indian, German, French, American, whatever. Thomas Sheridan said, "Flags are the dusters given to us by our masters to polish their mansions." Years ago in England, people fought to keep out people like the Romans that come to oppress them or to take over. They become assimilated. Fought the French. Battle of Hastings, this, that and the other. We become assimilated. That's how it works, people. And we never learn. Because we all, even today, people standing under the flag of the Union or the Union flag, and they have no fucking idea what they're talking about when they call it the Union Jack. That's how indoctrinated, how controlled, how programmed these people are. Two different flags, the flag of the Union, Union flag, and the Union Jack are two different flags giving two different meanings. The Union Jack is used on a jack mask on a vessel of the water to give a message, completely different message from the flag of the Union. I learnt that 52 years ago when I was at Sea Cadets. And it stuck with me all that time. The flag of the Union involves the flag of St. George, St. Andrew, St. David, and also represents Ireland, or certainly Northern Ireland. I'm speaking from the viewpoint of somebody who was born in England, in order that you may understand. I got into quite some arguments or confrontational comments with people recently when they were in a post when they were honouring, the Union Jack and fighting for their country. And I made it clear to them, the last people to fight for England, to protect England's borders and shores, were the Home Guard in the Second World War. They had to do that because most of their fellow countrymen had gone off to fight a rich man's war, which is what we always do, generation after generation. We leave our lands to go and fight a rich man's war, to rape and pillage, to control another land for the masters. And that's how flags come about. That's how flags come about. Standing to defend them and standing, fighting to rip them down. It is one of the most perverse things I see. Sickening, because people don't know who they are. People call themselves British. What is British? It's a mismatch of 4 different nations. There's no such thing as British. It's been made up. If you accept you were born in a certain part of the world and you honour the place that you were born, then in the context of Britain, you're either English, Welsh, Scottish or Irish. And you've got forefathers that fought to protect England. You got if you're English, you got forefathers that fought to protect Scotland, fought to protect Wales, fought to protect Ireland. But you've been assimilated now and you're British. And you fight against those, or pour ridicule and scorn and demean those that fight for their country. And you go off fighting them at the behest of your masters because you've been assimilated. You've been assimilated into a controlled mindset and belief system. And you mock and riddle me because I dare to have the ability to think for myself as opposed to thinking as I'm told. We are, in all its forms and variants, the unorganised truth fighting an organised lie. And until you can drop your ego, until you can control your mind and see through that lie, you'll continue to dance to the tune of your masters and do so at their behest, not me. Somebody said, I hope you never have to fight for your country. I said, I will fight for the world. I'll lay my life down for the world, but I won't ever fight for my country because I have no country. I only have the world. Countries are made up to keep us separated from each other so we never, ever become the organised truth, fighting that organised lie. You human beings, you go off and you fight at the behest of your masters. But someone like me, who's a man, will only ever fight for the world. It is so perverse and sick for me to see people full of ego and arrogance and yet so ignorant of the control that they are under, and their fight to protect their leaders, their fight for the right to vote them in, to lead them, because they are impotent at leading themselves. They have no understanding of what it is to lead themselves and to think for themselves. That's the matrix, people. That's the matrix. And if you can't understand that, if you can't comprehend it, if you can't resonate with it, then you've been brainwashed. Not just today, but over generations. You've been brainwashed. You've been indoctrinated. And you're doing exactly what a human is expected to do, as you're told. You're thinking exactly as a human being is expected to do, programmed to do. Think as you're told. And that's why people like me cause so much animosity, because I challenge the very control system you seek to uphold, that you seek to revere, to worship, to honour. I seek to challenge all that because I think for myself. I think, therefore I am. You, as a human being, will think and act as you are told. Me, I won't. I won't. I'm quite outspoken to many, but I merely seek to bring you the truth. Like I said in my last upload, and like I continue to say, I'm not worried about the Bill Gates of this world, the Klaus Schwabs, Fauci's and everybody else. You know what Larkin Rose said years ago, I really resonate with, when he said, I'm not worried about some moustached dictator, Mussolini, Stalin, Hitler or Mao or any of those. He said, what concerns me is the people that give them power. And that's the human beings, the slave mind, those that think as they're told. Because they can't think for themselves. They're impotent. They need to be led, told what to think, told what to do, told how to act. That's not me. And if it is you, have a word with yourself. Get through your ego. Think about your ego. Think about how you've been indoctrinated. Wonder if you've been brainwashed, because if you have been brainwashed, how would you know? How the fuck would you know if you've been brainwashed? One of the most sickening and perverse sights, because I have so much respect, empathy and love for the indigenous peoples of what we now call America, and the stories the ancestors told, the fights, the battles the ancestors went into and fought for in order to protect those around them and to guarantee something for the next 7 generations. And what do those next 7 generations do? Humiliate the ancestors and all their efforts by being assimilated into the culture of those that drove out their ancestors' culture. And it don't matter if you're Native American, English, Irish, Scottish, Welsh, whatever. We all have done the fucking same. And I've told you the fucking truth. It is the most perverse sight to see people with big egos, big muscles, big bodies fighting for those that enslave them and think they're wonderful. If this message resonates, share the message. Please don't share me. Share the message. Anything on my channel, anywhere. If you're on BitChute, indeed if you're anywhere, my email is in the description box. You want to converse? I can't talk to you on BitChute. this message resonates, share it. If this message doesn't resonate and you're up in arms, ask yourself why you're up in arms with what you've just heard. Why you're spitting, pardon the expression, feathers of what you've just heard. Because I've challenged you. Challenged your very ego, your mindset. Challenged your whole belief system. Challenged your spirit. Because I want to get beyond all that shit to the very essence of what you truly are. The I am, the soul. That's who I speak to. And if it offends, don't point the finger at me. Ask yourself first why it offends. Palamia, thank you. In Lakesh, in you I see an enemy. Mitako o Yasin. We are all related. We are all relatives. And I tell you, we're all connected. And yet we're so disconnected. If you think this reality is wrong, and everything about it is wrong like I do, then do what Buckminster Fuller said. Build a new reality that makes this one obsolete. And if you're not prepared to see if that is needed, never mind to do it, then you're just a slave. You're just a human being, and perhaps that's all you'll ever be.